The scariest thing I seen in prison. Now, I've been through a lot of shit myself, but this one was what I saw, you just can't unsee. In prison, you have to basically accept things in life that you never thought you would accept, go through things that you never thought were possible, make a reality that you never thought existed, and just go insane to remain sane. That's the only way that I can explain it. This one here is real vicious as far as the hate and the cunning and just the strategic warfare, basically. There's no glory in this. It's all horrific, you know what I mean? So don't get it twisted. But in a violent environment, knowing the art of war, knowing mental warfare, getting them before they get you, knowing your enemy, it makes all the difference, just like anything in life. But this one was twisted. You had inmate Peanut and inmate Turbo. Peanut was a big time hustler. You know, he had a lot of money coming in and out of the compound. He's a perfect example of the inside runs the outside. A lot of times when organizations get hit up with major RICO, indictments, it really only makes them stronger. The ones they were training go up in rank. The ones that got caught up and stay solid start running the prison. And that keeps that pressure on that whole world. Because now anybody that's trying to really be about that life, they know they'll eventually end up in prison. And they know who's in prison waiting for them. And then by them, it's their brothers that know all their families out here. So it kind of keeps things in a balance and it can get real dangerous. This is one of those situations. Turbo and Peanut were part of the same organization. I had nothing to do with them. I was just in the unit. So obviously it's called inmate.com. We all could see without looking, hear without listening, and talk without speaking, And they had some issues over a case, some type of paperwork, and they really didn't like what was going on. As far as Turbo, they felt like he basically dry snitched to get a plea. And they got their own politics. People might not agree, but when you choose that life, then your destiny is already written. There is no more what's best for me. You have to keep your reputation. And if you change, you're weak, you're soft. That's a so-called brother. What I've learned from my experiences, when I was crashing and burning and doing all that dirt, you had dudes cheering me on, loving it. And then now they'll see me at church with my son and say, oh, you changed. It's just how it is. That's why I never got wrapped up in the gang shit. But anyway, Peanut and his brothers, he's part of a organization, a major Latin organization. They were kind of upset on how he did it. But they kind of like just punked him out. They were bullying him, slapping around, but they still kept him as one of their brothers and were using him to bring dope in. And, they were just kind of muling him, basically. That's what it looked like from all appearances, at least. So whatever they're doing to get drops, they're getting needles in, getting dope in, however they're doing it. And, he's part of that whole situation. Peanut and Turbo and their whole organization. They have the whole compound. They're running it. The COs are working for them. I mean, they're making payments to the outside, taking care of their families and whatever else they got going on. Now, they also like to use whatever they were bringing in. And this was a real dirty game that made me realize just how fucked up shit can be. So once they used Turbo up, they had him bring it in, they got him strung out. They felt like it was time for him to go, by all appearances at least. Turbo, brought in whatever, bunch of needles. They brought him in the room like, hey man, let's hit one, let's get da-da-da, whatever they're doing. Well, I guess they had like 4 brothers in there, had him, shoot some stuff up. And while he was doing it, I guess they had a bunch of syringes loaded with all types of diseases and infectious blood, dirt, whatever the fuck it was in there to give him staph infection, blood diseases, and they all just start hitting him with it. They're holding him down and they're hitting him with the needles like over and over, just inject him with all this shit. And they beat the shit out of him. And to me, the worst part about it all was they let him live. I never seen somebody come out of a cell that looked like that. After they beat him and inject him with all that shit, and whatever coma he woke out of, he was all fucked up, but it was a face of like, more than just a beating. It was like just the Walking Dead. That's the best way I can describe it. They're all gone, flushing their contraband, and he's just like a zombie walking to the officers to get out of there. You know, rumors spread that they had gave him all types of diseases, hepatitis and infectious stuff. Dudes were putting shit in there and just hitting him up with it, all types of drugs in there. So if he went to the officers on top of what he had in the system, it would look even worse. And, I know they shipped him out of there and I never saw him again. But, rumors were that that man had gangrene, boils, staph infections, and all types of problems with his organs. On top of it, the officers gave him what's called 6180 because he pissed dirty when they did a blood test. Because since he was so deep in that organization, he couldn't tell on them. And they see all these track marks on him. He's high. They see that he has drugs in his system. And the officers could tell this man was beaten and obviously hit up with a bunch of shit. But they're just as dirty. They do whatever they do to heal him up. And they lock him in the confinement for 60 days and take 180 days of game time away from him. That's what we call like drugs in prison, is 6180. Fucking horrific. Stay out, stay free. Us.